Howdy drivers, it's your friend Cowboy Coder back with another video. Some of you may know me from my music video for Code Rage, my debut single you can find now on Spotify. Well, one thing that doesn't give me code rage is data permanence, and the best way to do that? Using ArWeave with ArDrive. As a Cowboy Coder, I've seen my fair share of airport terminals, whether flying to Scotland for tours or back to New York to record music. Plus, I'm no stranger to terminal prompts, and the best way to do that is through the CLI. Just like we gotta round up our ponies before Friday night, first thing we gotta do to get the CLI up and running is to make sure we have all the prerequisites required to install the CLI. The first prerequisite we need to check is to ensure we have Git installed on our system. If you're running a Mac, you may also need to install Homebrew to ensure that the installation can proceed in a smooth manner. If you do need to install Homebrew, make sure you configure it on the shell you wish to utilize for your installation. For example, if you are installing the CLI in the Z shell, make sure your Homebrew installation is also configured to your Z shell. To check if you have Homebrew installed, merely type in brew at the command line and you will see commands available when executing brew. To check to see if you have Git installed, merely type Git at the command line, and again, if it is installed, you will see commands available when executing Git. The Node Version Manager is also a great tool to have for the installation, and it is also recommended to have installed. Again, merely typing nvm at the command prompt will inform you if you have it already installed on your system. With all the prerequisites satisfied for the CLI, installing is simply a matter of typing in install-g ArDrive-CLI.
Now that we've got our CLI installed, it's easy to create a new public drive. With our JSON file for our ArWeave wallet, all that is required is for us to type in ArDrive, create-drive-wallet file, the name of the file for your wallet, --drive-name, and then the name that you wish for your public drive. Once that's been created, we get a nice output of all the details and metadata that we would use for subsequent activities.
So many activities!
But for now, what I'd like to show is how we could create a private drive. Now, to do that, you use basically the same command, but you put a -p at the end. You have to enter the password. And again, we get a nice output of all the metadata for our drive. Now that we've got our public and private drives created, we're going to upload some files to our new drives. So basically the things to keep in mind here is, of course, you're going to need your wallet file. You're going to need your folder ID, which we should have gotten when we created our drive, because it gives us the printout of that information. And then the local path, the file you want to upload and what you want it called on the destination. And once that command is executed, it will present us with some information that will allow us to track it. So anytime you're using the CLI, it's always a good practice to kind of get the information that was presented to you and save that off, because it's got things in here like the transaction ID that we're going to want to use to, look up the status of that transaction. Same basic principle here. You want the parent folder ID that we had from the drive that we created last time, the name of your files, of course, the wallet. And when we execute this, it's going to basically ask us for our password, so make sure that you have that available if you ever are uploading to a private drive. And again, once this processes and submits it, we will now get some information that is very useful for us if we ever want to check on various aspects of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to download our public file first, which was our cryptos go pub, and we're going to place it into our temp folder in our working directory. And you make sure that you use the root password here, because you're going to have write abilities, so you're going to have to basically sudo into it. Okay, so we see that actually downloaded perfectly. And so that was from our public drive. And we can go and we can check that file for consistency, and we can see if it's actually there. It is actually there. It's an MP3, and if we play it, we'll actually hear those jamming tunes. Oh yeah. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to download our private file. That's a little bit trickier, as you've probably already noticed. Anytime you're dealing with the private file system, you're going to have to always supply the -P option for most of these commands, and you're going to have to supply the wallet. And what we're going to do is we're going to download that infinite time that was up there, and we're going to be presented with the password. So we'll enter that in. And that was downloaded successfully. So that is really great. Again, we can just do a quick check. We can see that it's there. You can make sure that it plays and that that is actually out on the blockchain now, on the permalist, forever. Glory redefined. Okay. So now the last thing we want to do is we want to check out ArDrive and get some drive information off of there. You can use JQ to actually see specific information that you'd like to see. And basically you just pipe it through the command and tell it what specific items you wish to pull out of here. For demonstration purposes, we're just going to get the transaction ID. And once we click on that, we'll see all the transaction IDs for all 3 of those drives that exist for this particular wallet.
Be sure to look for Code Rage, my debut album premiering October 14th everywhere. Know before you lasso using the ArDrive CLI.